Welcome to Unshakable with Human Design, the show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs use human design to shift from hustle to flow without sacrificing results. Come here to become an unshakable human and build an unshakable business according to your human design. I'm your host, Nicole. Hello and welcome to Unshakable with Human Design. I'm your host, Nicole, and we are here with an episode today. We are going to be talking about one of the centers. And this center is, it's so funny. Like everybody has their, this one's the most important. This one's really, really high on the list for sure. And I'll explain to you why, and I'll explain to you just the differences between the defined and undefined expression and how it might be playing out in your world for better or for worse. Because really what we're talking about with human design is we are giving you a roadmap for how you can live in your highest expression. So this is how we go from looking at life through this cookie cutter lens of saying this worked for somebody, so I'm going to do that. And that person has what I want, so I'm going to do exactly what they did. Then it doesn't work for us, and then we feel bad about ourselves, and then we wonder, is our success even possible? It is when we learn how to work with our unique codes. Okay, and human design gives you that code. It tells you, you have this all the time, you don't have this all the time. Here's how you work with this. And this is how you become just a balanced and fulfilled expression of you. So I'm really excited to be here with you today to talk about this because the centers are, I don't have anything that I think is the most important. Obviously, there's some things that are going to carry you further, faster. And the places where we start, because if you're not using strategy and authority, obviously, then the whole design is kind of going to be thrown off. That's the thing that's going to keep you out of your head, basically. And that's the name of the game, is taking the power that we've given our brain and our mind and our thoughts, taking the power away from that, putting it in the body, and bringing the body into balance. So I'm very excited about this because this definitely is a very, very important center. And the centers give you, they're that next level down from strategy and authority. Then we kind of hit the centers and we say, these are the themes that you have consistently or inconsistently in your life. Every center has a theme. So before we jump into the episode, I do want to remind everybody, we have a new offer coming, which I'm going to unveil on the show. I think next week we unveil that. If you'd like to be the first to know, and this will qualify you for first pricing on the offer. Once we do offer it, you will get special pricing, special bonuses. There's going to be all sorts of stuff, but only if you are on the wait list. So if you're not on the wait list, you will not get the email with the special codes and all of that stuff for you to get that special pricing. So please join our wait list. Go to nicolelano.me/waitlist, or go to nicolelano.me/podcast links, and you can grab that. You can jump over to the wait list page from there. We have everything that we have available is on that podcast links page, and right at the top is join the wait list. So go do that right now, and we'll continue with this episode. Okay, so let's talk about the centers. Now, there are 9 centers in the body graph, and these loosely tie to the Hindu chakra system. So the Hindu chakra system, obviously, they have 7 centers. We have 9. That's the big difference. And this is one of those differences. The heart chakra in the chakra system splits off. And, the heart chakra is obviously, when you think of the heart, if anyone who's been to a yoga class or done a Joe Dispenza meditation or something like that, we know about focusing on the heart chakra, focusing on that energy center, because that's what the chakras are. They're energy centers. We call them centers. They are energy centers. It's the same thing. We've just split 2 of the themes off to give us 9 centers instead of 7. And this is kind of the way human design looks at this, is that we have evolved energetically, and we have now gotten more differentiated between these bigger themes of the two chakras that we look at differently are the heart chakra, what would be seen as the heart chakra, and then the solar plexus. So the heart chakra splits off in human design. We look at it as the G center, which is the diamond right in the center of your chest. If you're looking at the body graph chart right now. And then if you're looking at the chart to the right, there's a tiny little triangular sort of center that looks sort of like an anatomical heart. And now we refer to that as the ego, the heart, or the will center. Any of those names will do. We're talking about the same thing. Now, the way that we look at these when we split them off, it's still the heart chakra energy. We're just looking at them kind of two different ways. And I've never heard anyone explain it this way, so this isn't like a textbook definition, but I'm going to give you the way that I look at these two. So the G center is it's like what you think of when you think of heart energy, right? I look at it like the feminine side of the heart chakra. It is the center of love, identity, purpose, direction. You know, all of that like feminine, heart opening stuff that we think about, right? When we think about heart energy. And then if you go to the ego center, the will center, the heart center, it's like the masculine side of heart energy to me. That's how I look at it. It's the drive, the will, the determination that put your heart into it. The heart that's required to provide for people, to take care of people. There is that masculine side of it. So I look at it. That's how I view them. That's helped me to look at them and notice the difference, because when we talk about it, people will say things like, the not self of the ego center is feeling like you need to prove yourself. Kind of sounds a little bit like the not self of the G center, which is to feel unlovable. So the reason is because they're very, very close sisters, so to speak, or siblings, so to speak. But we're going to talk about the ego today. We're going to talk about that. I call it the ego because I'm sort of reclaiming that word. We think of ego as so negative. Like we don't want to be egotistical. We don't want to be egoic. But the ego, when the ego is really doing what it's supposed to do, the ego is beautiful. The ego has the courage to stand up for what it wants. It has the courage to say, what I want is valuable. Who I am is valuable. What I bring to this is valuable. And standing in that power, we need that. And quite frankly, many of us look at other people with it, and that can make us feel less than. Because it's very rare to see people in true high expression of the ego, because it's very easily overactive. So this is why I say that this one ranks at close to the top of the list. It's maybe not number one. I look at them differently. It's so hard to say, like to rank the centers or any of the things in the chart. Because if you start diving into them, you start realizing like, oh, that's so powerful. They all are. But the ego center is a motor. There are 4 motor centers in the body graph, and the ego is one of them. The ego, the sacral, the root, and the emotional solar plexus. Those are motors. What it means by motor is there is power behind it. It's not like the ajna, which is an awareness center, there's sort of a more passive kind of feeling to it. It takes in information. It has a job. It has a function. However, it's not moving anything on its own. We look at the motors as a way to manifest. And by manifest, we mean there is action behind the themes of the motor centers. This is why if you are a manifester or a manifesting generator, that means you have a motor. One of those 4 is directly or indirectly connected to your throat. Now, if you're a manifesting generator, it means your sacral is defined. But if you're a manifestor, your sacral is not defined, but both have that motor to the throat. Somehow, power, action, the ability to act, comes from within you and can make it out of your throat to be manifested, to put it out in the world. It doesn't need anyone else in order to do that. Whereas when we have an awareness center connected to the throat, it needs to be asked for. That information, it needs to be that energy needs to be invited. It needs to be asked for out in the world in order for it to really come out in the way that it's meant to use those energies. But the ego center, so each of the 9 centers gets a theme. Every center represents a theme. And if you have it defined any of the centers, whatever you see colored in on the chart, means that's something you're here to be. It means you are the source of this energy. It means that you have consistency. It means you're going to be more specific in this way, meaning that theme will show up for you certain types of ways. It might be harder for you to change those things that are defined for you. They're going to be consistent themes in your life. It's going to be what you transmit. Okay? When people are around you, the defined energy that you have is what they feel from you without you doing anything. And then when you're doing things, these are the themes that are automatically taking over. These are the ones that are present. Now, that does not mean that they are present in a good way just because they are defined. It just means that they are going to be these consistent themes for you. They're something you are here to master. Be a master of your specific way of being this particular energy. So if you have the ego center defined, there's something about mastering the ability to be driven in a balanced way, to provide something about the material plane depending on the activations that you have in it, depending on which channels are activated, which gates are activated, what turns your ego on in your chart. And that's what we're looking at. So the ego center, if you have it defined, there's going to be a theme of determination and proving yourself and achieving, potentially. Is it a healthy one or not is really the question. And if you're undefined in the center or any center, if you're undefined in a center, you're here to learn about it. You're not the source of this information. When you're around other people, you will feel that theme from other people. So by not having your ego defined, by being open or undefined here, you walk in a room, you're going to feel that ego energy. When you scroll through Instagram, you're going to feel like you maybe have to prove yourself based on the people that you see. You might be more able, willing, or unconscious to the fact that you can take in other people's themes of this center. So someone telling you that you need to prove yourself, that you need to be committed, someone else's way, somebody else's perspective on ego, on achieving, on being driven, on making commitments, on being in integrity, on proving yourself, on achieving. Somebody else's ideas, stories, perspective on it is going to be something you will more easily absorb than somebody who has it defined, potentially. This is going to be something that people can put on you. But the beauty of it is if you can understand, if you can clean out that center of everybody else's junk, how wise you can be about this center's energy. But because it's a motor, it's very powerful. You feel it. You really feel it. It has power. So all the stuff that we see because this is the center of the material plane. This is the center of providing and achieving. This is the center of tribalism. It's the heart of the material plane. So if you have this center defined, which I have it defined, we have a role to play on the material plane that is like we're kind of here to master that. However, most people with this, so this is one of those centers, I'm all over the place with this sentence, but most of this center, more than any other, is the one I see people with it defined being the most out of alignment with. So we think it's going to be, oh, well, if you have it defined, you're good. But if you have it undefined, then you're taking in all this other stuff from other people. And it's so overwhelming, and you're feeling like you have to prove yourself, and you're feeling like you're not good enough, and that's just so hard. I have news for you. If you have this defined, most people that I meet with a defined ego, I would say about 75% of people with defined egos have a lot of work to do in this center. They are out of alignment with it. They're overachieving. They're leaning on it too hard. It's like in Star Wars where you have the Millennium Falcon. And in the first Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker are looking for a ship with hyperdrive that can outrun Imperial starships. And they find the Millennium Falcon. But you notice when you watch the movie, they are not in hyperdrive the entire time. They use it when they need it. They might use it a lot, but it needs to rest and recharge in order for it to work the next time they need it. There are scenes where they go to use it again and it isn't ready. That is the ego center. So if you have it defined and you're burning it out, where you are running on ego power rather than running on your true strategy and authority, rather than running on your sacral energy, rather than truly waiting and resting, rather than waiting for invitations, rather than waiting through your cycle. If you have this defined and you are not following your strategy and authority and you're pushing out of your ego, you will find that that is a very difficult thing to unwind. And that's where the work is. The work is bringing this into balance, because when it's in balance, that's when you can achieve, that's when you can create true sustainability, and that's when you can have really strong integrity. But make no mistake, having this center defined, it is very easy to throw this out of whack, especially in the world that we live in, and especially in this industry, where achieving and the next big goal and the next material win are put on such a pedestal. And we have all these people showing us their private jets and their Ferraris, whether they are real or not, and their super expensive trips and all of these things that make us feel like we need that in order to be healthy and in order to be happy. And it takes a strong sense of ego to say, yes, if I want that, I can have it, but I don't need to chase it just because someone tells me to. I don't need to achieve just for the sake of achieving. And if you have it undefined, that might be a really overwhelming theme for you, because you are so susceptible to it. You'll feel the weight of that hard, and you're pushing out of energy that isn't there for you all the time. So this is where the work exists on both sides, defined or undefined. You're looking for the themes truly that are the most, you feel are the most significant in your life. Do you feel like you have to prove yourself? Do you feel like you're not good enough until you achieve the next thing? Do you feel like you have to keep up with everyone else? And then the way that you approach the work is different based on whether you are defined or undefined. But these themes, this is how, when you start breaking down your chart and you start noticing the themes that exist, what is the high expression of the theme and the low expression of the theme, and how is it playing out in your life, and understanding how you can balance all of these specific areas for yourself. How you can have such control over the way you show up and the way you operate, that this is how you truly achieve self-mastery in a way that is not restrictive, but actually promotes flow. So I hope that you found this exciting. I hope that you found this helpful. This is a really important center, no matter how you have it. But I encourage you all to think about the theme of proving yourself, the theme of achieving, and noticing how that shows up for you. Does it feel healthy or doesn't it? Does it feel like you're pushing or not? These are all great questions, and these are things that we go into in my programs. This is definitely something we go into in a reading. If you choose to book a reading with me, I do human design readings. They are one-on-one readings. I do them for now. We will see. I enjoy doing them. They take up a lot of time. They are a lot of energy, so I try to accommodate. But we are booking up very, very quickly with these. We have tons of human design readings on the books. So if you want to get in on those, please do so now while we're doing them. You can get that at the podcast links page, nicolelano.me/podcast links. And don't forget to sign up for the waitlist while you are there, because we do have an exciting offer for you to jump in and to be doing some things long-term, really deep dives with us, which is going to be very, very exciting. And you could get special pricing if you're on the waitlist, but only if you are on the waitlist. So please go do that. Now, everybody, if you want to have an unshakable business, first you have to become an unshakable human. And that's what this show is here to help you with. So I hope that you found this helpful. I hope that you tune in next time so that we can continue your journey on becoming unshakable with human design. I'll see you in the next one. If you love this episode and you're a fan of the show, please show us the love on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to the show, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with other entrepreneurs on their human design journey, join our free Facebook community, Human Design for Entrepreneurs. Go to nicolelano.me/podcast links to join the group, book a human design reading with me, or access our free human design resources. We'll see you there.